Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening for another very special edition of the ICE series. This is another session of the WOWSA Live series, which we co-host with Ram Barkai, the founder of the International Ice Swimming Association, and two very special guests that he met swimming the ice. Welcome.
Thank
Ram.
you. Welcome, everybody.
Welcome.
Yeah. And Ram, maybe you can kick it off. How did you and Dr. Natalia actually meet for the first time, and where?
I can't remember I think it was in the Bering Strait relay. She was actually studying for a PhD and now she's a professor. Well done, Natalia. I didn't even know that you're a professor already. And she accompanied a team from Argentina who were helping and doing a research, mostly with Matthias Ola, which was a good friend in Argentina and a swimmer. And she picked a bunch of us to do the research in the Bering Strait. And I have vague memories that we had to do a lot of, they have to take some measurements and body fat and temperature and all sorts of things during quite a hazy period of swimming through the Bering Strait, because it was quite a relay. And then we met again later on, I think in Rovaniemi, in Finland. That was proper, it was the winter swimming world champ. It was a proper ice swimming. And I think in Buenos Aires when we came to visit again, so we met several times. Yeah.
You are here with your husband, Diego. Welcome. And you're calling in from Argentina?
Yes, we are from Argentina.
We
live in Buenos Aires.
Okay.
We don't have here ice swimming, but we have in Patagonia, that is in the south of Argentina. Too much people, there's a lot of people that swim in ice waters.
Yes. So can you explain, your background is in nutrition, but your journey is now in ice swimming. Can you explain the connection between nutrition and ice swimming?
Yes. Well, the story started in 2013. Well, I was working in an internet journal because I am also a journalist. And I met Matthias Ola, who is the most important winter swimmer here in Argentina. He told me about this sport that I didn't know before. So he told me that he has a group of people who help him in order to can do his challenge that he has in mind. So he told me that there was a lifeguard, his trainer, and also was a doctor. He was a mountain doctor. He was obsessed studying about hypothermia. Well, after that interview, I told Matthias that I was nutritionist and I knew a lot about body composition. So doctor, 2 days after our interview, asked me if I could help him in order to give me more information about body composition, because there was no too much scientific literature about that. So I told him that yes, I could do it, because I'm a nutritionist, but I also have a sport nutrition background. So he told me that it was a good opportunity to go to the Bering Strait relay, because I could there took my measures. And so, well, I start with this new way of my career.
And your husband, Diego, who's sitting right next to you, when did he just say goodbye, see you later, decided to go with Matthias and Ram to the Bering Strait?
Well, we at that time we haven't met yet.
Oh,
so I ended up knowing about all these trips and this journey after we actually started dating. And that was the time in which she told me about the trips and all the work that she had done. And I was pretty amazed at everything that she was telling me. And that was one of the many things that made me fall in love for her.
Yeah. Okay.
But she's not allowed to go on trips anymore, right, Diego?
I don't expect that to happen. And if it happens, maybe all the family will go there together.
Okay.
So you go up to Russia and you meet Ram and Mateus and all the group. What are your first impressions of them? When you met all these people, what were you thinking?
Well, Matias told me that very straight relay were going to be like vacations, and that ship, it was going to be like a cruise. And when we first fly from Buenos Aires to Moscow, then Moscow, Yakutsk, then we took a military airplane to finally arrive to the port. That was the ship. And it didn't was a cruise. It was a hospital military ship from the 40s. It looked Asian. So as I have no internet sign, what I'm going to do here. So, well, let's go. And there were a lot of people from Russia. I didn't understand Russian, so it was at first very hard. But then, well, there was a winter swimmer from United States. Her name is Melissa Aureli, and she speaks very well Russian, so she was my translator, and that was great because that helped me to do okay my job, and also to become very friendly with all the swimmers.
Got it. And Ram, what was your first impression of Dr. Natalia when you met up there?
I was quite surprised that she volunteered to come on this trip. It was quite a rough trip. Just to get, I think it took us 7 days to get to the swim start. We flew, I don't know, we flew here and there, and then we had to take the military boat, which I think Natalia was very complimentary about that military boat. It wasn't the most comfortable, and we had very limited nutrition, if you remember.
Oh, yeah.
And I think we had enough supply, include toilet paper and bread, for a few days less. Okay, so it was quite a rough trip, and everyone thought it's 80 kilometer non-stop relay. Shouldn't take more than 48 hours. And it took 5 days. And it was tough and rough. And for us, it was a great adventure. And I was really hoping that Natalia enjoyed it, because there are quite a few people, maybe even Mateus, that spend most of the time seasick. We, for whatever reason, a group of us, we just loved it. We didn't get seasick. We were just hungry all the time. We swam and we weren't allowed to drink. But there were quite a few people that were sick and extremely uncomfortable on this trip. So I think she had a very good sample for her research on the Bering Strait. And I'm dying to hear what she's going to say, what she learned scientifically from that trip.
Yeah. And Natalia, can you explain what you learned, what you observed, and what you learned, and how you presented that to the world?
Yes, I can divide it in the different journeys that I did. Well, at first, at the Bering Strait, well, what I was saying, that doctor asked me to do a database about the body composition of these swimmers. And what I did is an anthropometry, that is the tool Kinesianthropometry is the quantitative interface between movement and structure. Kine is movement, anthropo, human, and metric, measures. So what I did were the anthropometry. So with different instruments like calipers, I measure perimeters, diameters, and skin folds. And so I took 40 variables, and those variables I put in an Excel program that has well-validated equations. And after that, we could know the body composition. Our body composition, we can divide it in 5 components. One of them is fat mass, muscle mass, skin mass, bone mass, and remains. So that anthropometry gives you in kilograms those components. So, well, at first, I measure all the swimmers. 10 days after the journey starts, I had all my data completed. So then I made some statistics about that, like the best muscle mass swimmers, the best fat mass swimmers. And well, after that, when I think Ram could tell you more about that, the journey stopped because the weather was so bad. The waves were too high. So the captain of the journey asked to choose the 20 best swimmers to finish because the Americans said that we couldn't be there anymore, or we had less time to be there. So they chose 20 swimmers, but they chose it by experience. They didn't think about any scientific reason. So I remember that the South African team told me that there was a list at the gym where with those 20 best swimmers. And when I went to the gym, I saw the list and said, I saw this before. I don't know, but I saw this list before. So I went to my room, I opened my notebook, and I started searching my statistics. And I was very surprised because it was the same list about my best 20 muscle mass swimmers. Well, that was surprising because the few known about this sport, I mean the literature, the scientific literature about this sport said that you must have too much fat mass, and it doesn't say nothing about the muscle mass, and we were seeing a different thing. Also, this doctor that was in Matthias' group had a special equipment that measured the core temperature. That equipment consists in a pill that has a chip inside. So swimmers took that pill, and with a control remote, I put it within the stomach, and I could take the core temperature. So that doctor didn't know English, so he told me if I could help him. I studied that equipment, and we proved it with 2 swimmers. One of them was Matias, the Argentinian, and the other one was Cristian Vergara from Chile. Both of them had too much too much muscle mass. So what I did was they had to take it 30 minutes before the swim. So they took the pill. I measured the core temperature before and after the swim. And all the few literature said that we had to imagine that after being 10 minutes into those cold waters, the core temperature drops. But when I took the measure, I didn't see anything. I didn't see that there was no big difference between after and before the swim. So that was very surprising too. And the last thing, I asked, I made some interviews to the swimmers. First, I asked if they have any nutritional preparation before the trip. Just one of them told me that yes, that a doctor had told him that he had to eat too much fat in order to prevent the hypothermia. And the other ones told me that they didn't have any preparation. They just had a lot of expertise. So that was. That's done, no?
Okay.
Yes, those were the three pillars, I would say, that lead Natalia to start her investigation more in detail after coming to VA, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So I want to be clear. So at the end of the relay that took 5 days, the relay had to swim fast, and Ram and his team selected the 20 best swimmers. Is that the 20 fastest swimmers, Ram? Or how did you select the best?
So what happened, and that's kind of, we discovered as we were going through the Bering Strait. It is a quite a narrow strait if you look at it in the map. So obviously there are tidals of moving in and out that we need to be aware of, because it pushed us right and left. We swam straight across, similar to the English Channel. But what happened also, that current had like subcurrent. So we all swam 15 minutes. And that's maybe one of the things for Natalia, that we didn't swim long enough for the core body temperature to drop too much. And I think Otto mentioned it in his discussion, and we spoke about other episodes there, that it takes a while before the core body temperatures start going down. I remember we were all very cold after the 15 minutes. Some were almost mild hypothermic, but as she said, when we finished the swim, we weren't that cold yet. So what happens, every boat has a GPS to make sure that we go from GPS point to GPS point. And we realized that because of the strong currents, some swimmers weren't fast enough to go through the current. So basically they gave us a negative progression.
Okay.
And because we were on such, we were already late, and we were stopped for 1 day because of the fog. And we also, we lost the visa. The visa to America expired, so we had to wait 24 hours to get a new visa. So we kind of sat down. I think we had a meeting, Natalia, if you remember.
The 7 p.m. meeting.
We had a few meetings, but it was a serious meeting because we basically weren't moving. So we kind of agreed to select sort of the top 20 swimmers that have enough speed,
Okay,
to go through the current.
got it, got it. So then you pick the top 20 swimmers that have the proper speed, and then Dr. Natalia looks at her data, and those match,
Yeah.
which then was the really revolutionary observation that fat mass, at least in this scenario, was less important than muscle mass.
Yeah.
Did I understand that correctly?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. It was very, very surprising because there were like 3 or 4 studies that told us the different way. That it said that the fat mass was important.
Yeah, yeah. Now, from my perspective, when I was introduced to ice swimming by Ram, and I went to Bavaria, Germany, and I observed I believe it was the second ice swimming World Championships.
Yes, yeah.
I saw the fastest swimmers, fast swimmers like Henry Karma, were very lean. They had a very good body mass index. He could be swimming the 200 freestyle in a pool. That's how, and it was very surprising to me how the fast swimmers seem to be like the traditional swimmer body types. And so your finding back in 2013 in the Bering Strait, and my initial observation at the International Ice Swimming Associations were exactly the same.
Yeah.
I think, sorry, go ahead, Natalia.
No, well, then I had to prove it because it was just an observation. So then when we came back to Buenos Aires, that doctor that was in Matias' group decided to leave. So I said, oh, what am I going to do with all this data? It's very important to continue studying this. That's why I decided to go to university in order to do my doctorate degree. This investigation conducted by a thesis. I remember that I met the dean of the university and said, well, we had an interview and he told me, please study because it's very important to know this. Well, it was important for me also because I will have some teachers that guide me with methodological things about this investigation.
Got it. And Ram, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I was going to ask Natalia. I think it was in one of the previous episodes we spoke to Professor Tipton, Michael Tipton. He wrote a lot of research about hypothermia, very well known, and he says that there has to be a ratio between, he calls it fit and fat. So it's not enough to just be fit. You need. It's okay to swim 200 meters, but if you want to swim 15 minutes or you want to swim 1 kilometer in water of 2 degrees, and we also had waves and sometimes 6 meter waves and fog, you have to have some. Fat, basically, like fat mass. And I'm interested from your research, did you see what is the relationship between the muscle mass to the fat mass to excel in ice swimming?
Well, when I crossed the data, I did a correlation between muscle mass and the difference between the core temperature. The difference is the after and before the swim. And when I correlate the muscle mass, it was a strong correlation, a very strong correlation. What I mean is, as much as muscle mass you have, less difference of temperature, of core temperature. And when I crossed the fat mass, there was no relationship, a statistic relationship. So, well, that is the best thing that I could tell you about the final results. There is no correlation between fat mass and core temperature.
Got it. Did you find any differences between the fast females and the fast males in this muscle fat ratio?
Well, the thing is that I investigate men because females, there were just few of them who wanted to take they wanted to take the pill. So I had problem with that. So I just measure men. I can tell you, I can respond that question.
Okay. Got it. Did you see any difference between older men and younger men? Did you do any age correlation?
No, because
we were all young then.
Yeah. No, because it's he can explain more about that category, but they were more than 30 years old. Yeah.
Yes, as Ram was mentioning, I believe that the population, at least in the Bering Strait relay, was very close in terms of age. Then when she went to different tournament competitions, the World Championships, the other events in which she took her samples, there were different categories, and you could see people ranging from, I believe it was 12 or 13 years old up to 70s. She had at least some people within that sample that could be measured, but I don't think it was too representative to make any determination in terms of age.
Okay. Okay. And then
Natalia, what? Sorry.
Go ahead, Ram.
What else sort of you learned in the Bering relay with regard to your research and everything? What are there any other interesting fact that you learned there? I will ask you about Rovaniemi later.
Well, I think that it was very important what I saw about the difference of temperature and the body composition. It was something very emotional for me because I was in something that it was different from the literature, and I was kind of confused because how can the literature be so different? I remember that I was checking all the time if I did right the things, if I measure okay, if I prepare the core temperature equipment okay, and well, and I think that one of the most important other thing is the expertise of the winter swimmers. It's very, very important because they didn't know when stop if they start feeling bad, and that's very important. It's very important for them to know when stop it because they can drop in hypothermia. I think that is the best thing I learned.
I think it's interesting, Stephen, that we started the swim with I think around 60 swimmers, and we probably ended the swim with about 15 swimmers. There was a huge diversity among the swimmer. There were actually a few swimmers that never swam in the open sea. Oh. And here we are in the Bering Strait, middle of the night, 2 degrees, 6-meter waves. Yeah, that can kill anyone just from fear, from anxiety. And there were some serious swimmers, you know, Craig Lennon and quite a few names that swam the North Channel and the South African team, of course, you know, strong swimmers and a few others.
Yeah. Dr. Natalia, what you've seen, not only in the Bering Strait, but also your subsequent research, is there an ideal body composition for someone who wants to do an ice kilometer or an ice mile?
Yeah, I think that winter swimmer must have as much as muscle mass could have, and also a less fat mass as possible. Okay. Because fat mass, as much as fat you have, more less, yeah, not more quickly.
So you speak in Spanish and Diego can translate.
No, what she wants to mention is that the swimmer will be will have less speed.
About speed. Okay. As much as fat you have, less speed swimmers would be. The bone mass it's not a problem. Okay, it's the same. So that is the best body composition is as much as muscle mass and winter swimmer could have, and as much as less fat mass could have.
Okay. Okay. Now you're also a doctor. You have a doctorate in nutrition. So yes. We have composition on this side and nutrition on this side. Are there things that you can recommend, some sort of diet to optimize your body composition?
Well, my dream is to continue studying this. My dream is to put the nutritional part, because I just study the composition part. But it would be great to improve the muscle mass of the winter swimmers and see if there is difference in the core temperature. But yes, when we want to improve the muscle mass, we had to do a special diet with much calories, and well, the best macronutrients that we could made in that diet, and also the training. It's very important to train. So yes, I don't know if you want to talk more about the diet or.
Yeah.
Yes,
I'm
yeah.
fascinated by it. Yeah.
Okay, when we want to improve the muscle mass, we had to put in the diet a good group of protein and also carbohydrates. And because we want to let the swimmer as less as fat mass, we don't put a lot of fat into the diet. Okay, so that's the important thing. And then, well, it's very personalized, the diet, because we have to first begin from the body composition, the anthropometry, to know first which body composition that swimmer have, and then how much we can improve it.
Yeah. Okay. And you recently wrote a book.
Yes.
Can you explain? It's in Spanish, but can you explain what's in the book?
Yes. After I finished all my statistics and, well, I finished writing my thesis, I presented at the university, and well, I got a good mark, and they told me that it was very good, and they told me that it's going to be great if I publish it. It's okay, publish it?
Yes.
And so I thought that it was a good idea to write it in the book in order to give a tool to the winter swimmers. So I asked Diego if he could help me, because he's a sport journalist. And so I would like to do a mixed book, not just scientific, I also the sport part of this. And so we started, we did that first in Spanish, and then we translated in English. And so we have a physical book in Spanish and ebook in English.
Oh, great, great. So can you tell us the name in Spanish and then the name in English?
Yes, El mito de la natación de invierno in Spanish, and the myth of winter swimming in English. The myth is because what was I telling you before about the myth that you must have more fat to prevent the hyperthermia, and what I found that it is the contrary, that you must have more muscle mass to prevent the hypothermia.
Yeah. Oh, this is great, great. And we can get both the book in Spanish and the ebook in English now. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. I read it in English on. I actually bought it on Apple Books, I think.
Okay. And
yes, I can tell you where it is available. If you want the hard copy in Spanish, you can find it at two websites, Mercado Libre in Argentina and the webpage of Autores de Argentina, which is the publisher of the book, the ones who publish the book for us. And if you want to get it at different parts of the world, well, it's available at Amazon.com, for example, in US, in Brazil, in Spain, in Japan, Italy, United Kingdom, Canada, India, France, Germany, also at amabook.com, in Argentina, USA, Brazil, Mexico, Colombia, Peru, Uruguay, Venezuela, United Kingdom, France, and Germany as well. And there are other specific platforms. For example, one that is called Angus and Robertson in Australia. You can get it there. Ball.com in Holland. Indigo in Canada. Gandhi in Mexico. And there are several bookstores in Spain, for example, where you can get it. And also in Argentina as well. There's a long list, so I probably don't want to mention all of them, but there's plenty of places in which you can get the ebook.
Great, great. And Rem, you recommend this book for any aspiring ice swimmer or anybody who wants to swim in the cold?
Yeah, I can't remember if I think I downloaded it on Kobo. I can't remember where I downloaded it, but it's quite technical. It's not for it's not a recreational novel. It's a thesis. It's quite a technical book, but you can skip over some of the sort of quickly over the technical stuff and what I did. Otherwise, I would never finish the book if I had to understand all the technical stuff. And I jumped into the conclusion and obviously the interesting stuff. So it's not an easy reading, but it's fascinating if you I think in any sport of cold water, it's interesting. And Natalia, I want to ask you a question about, again, the muscle mesh. Because we're noticing just in general swimming, muscle mass is not generally or not necessarily distributed evenly. I have no muscle mass in my legs, I actually don't have legs. All my muscle mass is in my upper body. There are swimmers with a lot of muscle mass in their legs, and people that are not keen swimmer means that they swim dozens of kilometers a week, don't have a normal muscle mass. Is there any, is the typical Michael Phelps body, do you think that would be good for ice swimming as well?
No, I think that the most important thing is the tolerance. First, before thinking about the body composition, and the tolerance, you training, and also you need the muscle mass. Okay, so first of all, the tolerance, and then yes, you need like a swimming pool swimmer. Body composition. Okay, you must have long arms, long legs, and a good diameter from shoulder to shoulder, and as best distribution of muscle mass could have. Okay, in legs and arms. So you need to be strong. And so you must train as all those muscle groups. And if you have less in some part, you need to improve it as much as you can. You can help not only by the nutrition, you can add some supplements to reach that improvement.
Got it.
Stephen, I think maybe I'm going to ask you a question, okay. Because I think one of the things that came up in previous episode, and I think we see it also in long swimming, that Natalia is right. For shorter period, muscle mass is important, but if you start swimming in less cold water and you want to start spend the longer you want to spend in the water, if you want to swim the English Channel, definitely North Channel, that ratio is starting to change. The fat mass starting to play more and more significant role when you swim, when you spend a lot of time in the water, not 15 minutes or 30 minutes, I don't know.
Yes, what I try to say to this population is that it's better to know that it's more important the muscle mass than the fat, because it's unhealthy to eat a lot of fat, and then you will not use it by this kind of journeys or tournaments. So that's why if you're going to do it, you're going to cross the channel, okay, you can eat some fat for a period, but you can be all your life eating a lot of fat, because you're going to go, I don't know, on Saturday, you're going to be, you are going to have a tournament with just 7 or 10 minutes.
Yeah. Ram, I think it's very similar to track running and competitive swimming in a pool. If we look at the 100-meter dash runners, they're very muscular. They're powerful people. And then we look at the marathon runners, and they're very skinny. You know, if we look at the 50-meter freestyle swimmers or 100-meter freestyle swimmers, they're very, very muscular men and women. And then we look at the 1,500-meter swimmers. There's lean, but much less muscular. And we even see differences between breaststrokers and butterflyers versus backstrokers and freestylers. So I think our sport of swimming in general has many different specialties, you know, and where you are, Ram, and this is fascinating for me, for Dr. Natalia, is for the first time we're learning what is the best composition for a 50-meter, you know, cold water swim and a 1 kilometer cold water swim and a North Channel swim. And you both are on the cutting edge of what the future holds. It's very interesting to me.
Aqua Iceman. If you remember in Rovaniemi, the Winter Swimming World Championship in the Arctic, next to Father Christmas Village, we had a competition, and you gave a group of us, you know, that capsule, and you took quite a lot of us the core body temperature, and you told me that some people, the core body temperature before the swim went up and some went down, and the same after the swim. If you remember that, if you can say anything about that.
Yeah, I after that, when I came back to Buenos Aires, I saw that again. I realized that I started thinking about the habits that those that you, the swimmers, have there, because sometimes you eat before the swim very quickly, or very soon the swim. So there were a wide range of different core temperatures before, and then when they then went into the water, the core temperature went up. I thought that it's going to be the core temperature went drop, but it went down, but it goes up. So that's were very weird. And I think that all the blood went to the stomach to care all the organs. Okay, to take care of the organs. So I think that's why the core temperature goes high. Okay, did you understand? Or
Yes, yeah.
Okay. I think that it was the difference was the where the blood goes.
Yeah.
And so it goes. So different people, the blood might go to different places, or when they go in. Do you think?
It depends of the muscle mass also, because if you have more muscle mass, all the blood goes around all the blood goes through that mass, and if you have less, the body would prevent your organs, so it goes to all the organs in order to prevent the hypothermia.
Okay, interesting.
Well, I encourage everybody to get the book, get Dr. Natalia's book, The Myth of the Cold Water or Winter Swimmer. Is either an ebook or or a regular cover, and you'll learn all about muscle mass versus fat mass at a very, very high level. And thank you again, Ram,
Pleasure.
for being the
Good
co-host.
to see you, Natalia.
And Diego, thank you very much for your input also.
Thank you,
Nice to
thank
meet
you,
you
and I'm sorry for my English mistakes.
No
And
problem.
if you see Matias or Roberto or any of these people, please send my regard to Argentina.
Thank you, Ram, again. You were one of the more willing swimmers that helped me a lot with this investigation, and well, it has been like 9 years after that, and we could meet again. So thank you very much.